Dano's here. What's going on, buddy? I enjoyed the rope review video you put out. That was actually I just like the edit altogether. So those videos are not always the funnest to make. So the extra stuff that you put with it definitely made it, in my opinion. My camera is like shadowing my face. Oh, what's up, GP? How we doing? Doing all right. Dan, how close are we to 1,000? We got to be really close. You were almost there. I know it's got to be really close by now, I would think. And for anybody who hang on, this is aggravating. Okay. So for anybody who actually went over there and subscribed to Dan's channel after I left or did my post, thank you. I really 9:54. Okay. We're almost there. What's up, Billy? Jeffrey's here. What's up, man? Getting cold. We're ground pounders. 44 and raining. It was actually a really nice day here. I just kind of in a funk. The vehicle issues. It's just one thing after another. And so, yeah, I've been dealing with wife's birthday, daughter's birthday. Well, wife's birthday's not even here yet. All the family birthdays, my dad's birthday, it's just, yeah. And then trying to keep things moving. It's been a bit chaotic, but I'm getting through things. Still cutting. What's up? Doing all right, buddy. How are you? 38 last night. Where Billy? Okay. Yeah, it was pretty chilly last night for me too. Usually I get out in the hot tub in the evening and kind of soak my old bones. And yeah, it's a bit of a shock when you get out of it. I remember it being much warmer when I got in than when I got out, but yeah, that's probably all part of being old. So yeah, heck, I had intentions of doing an interview, and hopefully maybe next week we can do the interview with Peter Shea. So if Peter gets a chance and catches this, maybe we can try to set it up for next week, and maybe do an interview with him. Maybe talk some crane work. Maybe he can do a few kind of like little demo things, explaining some crane work stuff. Just he seems to be just an all around tree guy. He does pretty much everything when it comes to trees. But yeah, so definitely would like to interview him. It's just I think it was a little short notice this week, so uh, he may be busy or something, and we don't have the contacts for me to be able to send him the link, and so wasn't able to do that this time. So we'll just do a normal live feed, just kind of interact with you guys. Maybe we'll get off on a topic or something. I don't really know. You guys kind of are in control of wherever this goes. So let's start the week off like we always do with last week's analytics. I've been doing my absolute best to not look at the analytics at all because honestly it's a bit depressing. So try to ignore that stuff, but I see it at the end of the week, and the amount of shares that I got last week was amazing. So I just want to say a huge thanks goes out to anybody who shared a video last week. big thanks to anybody who gave me a thumbs up, the new subscribers, like all that stuff is honestly, if it wasn't for that and mainly these live feeds, I'd probably be burnt out by now. But yeah, this kind of stuff keeps me going, so I really appreciate this stuff. No, Ground Pounder. It was actually Ground Pounder's ideal to have me interview Peter. It's just I tried to get a hold of him. I left messages on his new videos. I just don't think he got them. So I have to either be friends on like Instagram, or I have to have his physical number to be able to send him the link, and I don't have any of that stuff. So I tried. It's just time ran out, and we couldn't really do it. Okay, so yeah, here we go. Last week I did it was a bit different. Um, I got Peter's phone number, bro. Oh, cool. Okay, cool. Yeah. I'll have to just get his number that way I can message him and next week. And it would be nice, and I should do this for anybody that I interview, for someone to have a heads up. Um, Maybe there's certain things that they don't want to talk about, and they could like let me know and stuff like that. But I don't know if Peter knows, but like he's been nominated for next week, and next week we are gonna interview Peter, God willing, and as long as he's okay with it. So last week the analytics were they're just kind of all over the place. Like I said, the amount of shares that I got, I've never gotten that many, and if I'm being honest, I think probably most of the shares were from the parody videos that I did. Um, and then in the middle of the parody videos, I did an actual like kind of informative video with doing the cold weather shutters. So I'm not saying like you should run outside right now and change all your cold weather shutters on your chainsaws. That's just if the weather's changing. We are getting ready to get the change of the seasons and stuff, so it's something to think about and keep in the back of your head. And when you get time, it would probably be a good idea to switch a lot of those over, especially if you're someone who deals with the cold conditions, kind of like I have to, and sounds like Ground Pounder's already dealing with them. So that yeah, GP being matchmaker for Triple T. But last week I did 2 videos. I did 4 shorts, 1 live, and then I did a community page post, which was the one to get people over to subscribe to Dan. So if you're a random person that's just watching this video right now, you need to go over to Dano's Tree Work. Dan has 950 some subscribers. It's not, I mean, it's just 50 more. So we got to get him to that 1,000 mark. It's just, it's like a relief for a guy when you start to get there. Like that first 100 is just, it's so aggravating. And then you get to 200, and then from 200 on, it's like, until you hit 1,000. And then the gaps are even further. Like it doesn't get any better. Like I've been waiting to get to 10,000 for what seems like 20 years, but I don't know if I'll ever get there. We're almost to like 9,000, but yeah, 2 videos, 4 shorts, 1 live, and 1 community page post. I had 6.9 thousand people tune in last week. There was 26 new subscribers. The videos, like I said, I did 2 parody videos. One making fun of myself. One making fun of another knucklehead. Um, the I think the most viewed was "Don't Forget This Chainsaw Secret," which was the cold weather shutter info. Then "Chainsaw Fraud" was the second most viewed, and then the third most viewed was "The Most Exciting Job in the World," and that was just some clips of rigging and stuff like that I had. I feel like the reason I had so many shares is because I can almost guarantee you a bunch of people, there's at least a couple of them that shared that video to try to get Mr. Skis to get mad at me and maybe throw me in the middle of his lawsuit or something. But I'm not I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I just if I see something silly, I'm just kind of pointing it out and I kind of think it's funny and so I'm just razzing a little bit. This is kind of what guys do. So hopefully he doesn't take it too personal and get so mad and offended because right after I finished making fun of him a little bit, I made fun of myself and all tree climbers in general. So yeah, it is what it is. Hopefully he's got a sense of humor and is able to deal with that. There's 251 likes, 17 shares, which I think I have one of the ones from last week, or the week before. That one says 6 shares. This one says 5 shares. Um, the comments are about the same as always. The likes were kind of actually down a little, um, but the shares were just they were way up there. So I don't know what video got shared the most, but that's pretty cool. I probably spent $20 to $30 in. Well, no, actually, I spent 50 or 60 actually because I had to buy a piece for my GoPro that my swivel broke, clip things broke, so I had to replace that, and then I bought a couple SD cards. So last week was 60 or more. I kind of put into the channel. Um, that doesn't count the phone bill and everything, but um, I made $8. So yeah, that's how lucrative this YouTube thing is. So if you're getting into it to make money, just yeah, save yourself. Just there's no sense in it. um, but yeah, let me catch up with comments, and then we'll just kind of go from there. So we got 13 people here. So I'm going through the comments. So if you've said something, I'll catch up. I'm sorry. I got a little behind. I'm Western North Carolina, and your work is a lot like mine. Not everybody is PNW climbing 200 foot tall for 100% steel cutting. Long sprawl, like more like 100-foot trees. They're very very sprawly. It's a different world compared to those 200-foot straight pole pines and stuff. To where you're able to speed line and you have all the height in the world before you get being able to let things run is more prevalent in those kind of areas too because you have the height to allow that. So things change when you get in different areas. Okay. Oh, no problem, Dano. Squirrely John's here. What's up? I'm close to one. Oh, are you? I haven't. I just randomly checked Dan's and seen he was close to. Are you close to 1,002 ground pounder? That's what I'm saying, Dano. Put out YouTube shorts, man. I'm telling you, that is the only thing that gets me subscribers, I think. So put out some YouTube shorts. Continue to put them out, and I promise you that your subscriber count will go up because people will see those YouTube shorts that would never see the actual videos because it's just put into a feed. It's like the algorithm controls it more than a person that's simply just on their phone. But if your saw's a smoker, then you gotta yeah. Hey, actually, I have that right here, and I don't know what I was thinking. I like permanently marked it like an idiot, and like I don't know. Now I've got to see that every time I use this thing. But yeah, this saw I just got running. This didn't work. Um, this is what I used. This is what's funny. I seen this. So I was basically robbed by a guy that I used to work for, and then got hurt, all that stuff, and then had nothing, and was forced to try to pay bills and stuff, and kind of got stuck in a shitty situation. Had no chainsaws, no nothing, and this is the first thing I used. I used this for my climbing saw. That's what this comes from. It's like some wire wrapped in duct tape to make a clip. Um, yeah, I can't believe I was using this, but this saw ran and then all of a sudden just didn't run. So I had to mess around with it. I tried everything, adjusting the carb out, and anybody that's ever tried to adjust a Husqvarna, you know where that issue is. Oh, that reminds me, I'll do a YouTube short on how to make an adjuster for a Husqvarna. But you have to have a special tool. They don't sell that tool, so I had to come up with one. And I was looking for it just a second ago. I think I lost it already, so I have to make another one. But they're really easy to make, not really hard to do. Um, but the issue with this saw, which ended up being crazy, is I checked everything. I took this whole thing apart, and you want to know what the problem was? The saw would actually, let me let you guys guess. The saw would run perfect, start very quick, and then die and wouldn't do anything after that. Just nothing. So, and it ended up being kind of crazy. Oh, is Nee here? Oh, what's up? Tree Climber DK. What's going on, Mike? How's everybody doing? Doing all right, buddy. How are you? I'm an oddball troll. There is shoot. What's I forgot from Wildwood. Jake. Is it Jake? It says Emily and Dad. Is this Jake? Just moved back from North Carolina to Missouri. The trees in Missouri are harder, in my opinion, to climb. The trees here simply aren't poles. No, they're very widespread most of the time, and a lot of times you're forced to change tie-in points multiple times throughout a tree, or have a lot of different redirects, which you don't have to have with other trees that have a prominent center top. A lot of times we don't have a prominent center top. You have to, this side of the tree may be taller than this side of the tree. It just all depends. Our area does have some weird ones, so I think you can. I really do. I'm for sure you can actually, GP. You definitely, that penny is in your future. This channel is real deal tree work with a following of real. Oh, 100%, John. 100%. I think I think a lot of the people that end up hanging around and really enjoying the channel end up kind of getting in you guys' little community, and then they become friends, and like those end up being, my faithfuls that are always around. We just kind of realize like, whoa, okay, we found a little group, and yeah, it's just kind of cool. So, actual videos, no, they don't. They do not suck, but I enjoy the shorter, better, short. Yeah, yeah, ground pounder. I think I like them more because it's like I can bang out a short video pretty quick, and if it doesn't get any views, it took me a few minutes to make. These long edit videos that get no views is like soul crushing. It's like my husky problem by giving it away. You adjusted your husky problem by giving it away. Hey, that's probably the most. That's probably the best way to fix it. So all my huskies are older, late 90s. Um, I think this one is probably late 90s, maybe early 2000. Like it's a very old saw. It's 350. Um, I have this one here, which is it's a 435 X Torque. So I actually own two Husqvarnas now. I paid what they're worth. That one was free, and then that one was $20. So yeah, I paid what a Husqvarna's worth. Just subscribe to your channel there. By the way, I go by Wildwood Jake. Yep, that's what I thought. Right on. I'm so bad at names, guys. I am the worst with names. So if I ever get your name wrong, like it's definitely not on purpose. I'm just crappy at names. Open canopy is nice. You know. But a lot of times, if we're dealing with them, they're usually covered in epicormic growth, and it's just a large canopy to clean as opposed to an open canopy. Most of our trees fill themselves in with tons of epicormic growth. So, living life, living the dream. Jump again. I just got ISC Ultralink from Gap Arborist. Better than the Quickie Link. Oh, that's so awesome. I'm glad you ordered from Gap. That's cool. Hopefully you got a discount too. Um, I haven't checked with them or nothing since I did the discount code thing. We did that like flash sale thing, so you got a year's worth of discounts and stuff like that. So, yeah, I haven't talked to them since. They're just, I figure they're busy, and I don't want to bug them. So, bro, I got one short that's at 64,000 views and over 114 subs. See what I mean? I'm working on a friend's Husqvarna. It's missing a clamp by the intake in manifold and only runs wide open and then some scary stuff. Well, yours may be the same issue. That ISC looks, yeah, that ISC quickie looks really nice actually. All right, John. Hey, thanks for stopping in, brother. Just seeing what you said about the realness. Okay, so the issue with this thing, and it's probably still pieces of it sitting here. Yeah, it's still sitting here. That's funny. Um, the bolt. My opinion, just my opinion. I think the stupidest thing that you could put on a chainsaw, I think, put a level on there. I would rather you put a level. Put a laser on it. Put a flower on it. I don't care. But stop putting these damn bubbles, these choke bubbles. These things are trash. They're junk. You don't need it. It's not necessary. And it's just another thing to go wrong. So that thing had a pinhole crack, like a little crack in it, got dry rotted. Somebody used it. That's why I tell people if you have a saw that has that on it, never use it. Because eventually, at one point, it's going to get dry rotted. You're going to push on it, it's going to crack it, and then it's going to be so incredibly hard to see or find out what is wrong. And it's going to seem like the carb's not working at all, and the saw don't want to run because it's lost all pressure and it's not getting gas because of that thing. So I've heard where you can kind of, I don't know if, I think Husqvarna their setup is very weird. I don't like it. Um, and this saw caught on fire one time. I was using it and was burning some brush and pulled the trailer next to the brush fire. This thing used to leak gas, the 350. It leaked gas for a little bit, and apparently an ember had went over and it landed in the back of my trailer. Before I knew it, I was pulling through the yard and I looked in the mirror. It's completely on fire. The first thing I seen was a pool, and I almost threw the chainsaw into the pool to get it to go out because it technically wasn't my chainsaw. It was my father-in-law's chainsaw, and so I'm spazzing. I don't know what to do. It's like a sort of new at the time, had only been used a few times, so I was just freaking, and it ended up burning a bunch of stuff as far as gas hoses and stuff. So I had to have all that replaced. So they're not factory. There's some of them seem a little long and stuff, but yeah, I switched that bulb out because, and I used the other one off the other saw, switched it out, put it on there. Now it works good. And then on the other one, I ripped the bulb off, took the little cap, and tried to clog it, and then put the rubber sealant over the top of everything. Hopefully, I'm just able to bypass that thing in general because I think you can just put like a gasket, you cut one out of a soda can and put it over it, and then you just don't have a bubble on them. And you can bypass the bubble and not have a prime. You just choke the saw like you would any other professional saw and use it that way. But I'm seeing I'm getting behind on comments. So I find myself spending a lot of pre-climb time trying to predict climb line angle, pull to get around the trees, how to use my senders a lot to get around. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and you'll become more efficient with it. You know, it's a change of scenery, so it's gonna be different. It'll take some getting used to, Jake, but I'm sure you got it. Only started it once, dang. Yeah, and a lot of times if you've had a saw that takes a long time, like it's been sitting around for a while, then you use it. If you, like, I never touched that bulb. I never pushed the bulb. I never touched the prime. Someone else may have, but it cracked, and it wasn't because I used it. I don't prime the saw. That's just not something I do, and I because of that reason. Because if it's dry rotted, I just won't touch it, and I'll just choke the saw and use it that way because I'm afraid it's gonna crack it, and then you can't really see that it's broke. And the only way to really tell is to like hold the saw different ways so that the bubble kind of fills up with gas and it leaks out the crack, and you can kind of tell that way. But yeah, it was very tricky. I tried everything before I finally realized that. So. Video with a question mark, Jeffrey. On what? Toss your rope out of on the yes, okay. Have your gun guy hold the rope. You could speed line yourself around the canopy. Yeah. I was working in the range today and didn't have time. Oh, right on. You're freaking the canopy, bro. I've never in my life seen anyone move like it. That's awesome. Dano is a beast. I don't really know. I don't really have much else to get into. I think someone was asking me about Paul Bunyan Fest last week, and if they should go, and hopefully they went. That seems like a pretty happening place. Seemed pretty cool. The footage and stuff I've seen from it. Um, and I wouldn't even have known it was going on if like Homeboy Skis wasn't so like butt hurt and like offended that other people were having fun there that he doesn't like. So he started talking about like, well, maybe he'll get served his lawsuit papers while he's there at Paul Bunyan. Get out of here, man! You're not serving nobody with nothing. And if, let's just be straight, if the 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 justice system allows this man to sue anybody over this BS that he's talking about, then there's something wrong with the justice system. Not so much him, but the actual justice system, law. That's not right. Like I guess if somebody stole his chainsaws and shipped them, and then purposely like did this messed up fake review to try to give him a bad name, that's messed up. That is skeezy as all hell, and like that's just not cool. But I don't really think that's the case. I think he had given his saws to a guy and asked the dude to do some work for him and wanted, something for nothing, but he had promised the guy some stuff, who knows. And then he wanted a yes man, like okay, like in my video, the parody video, I talked about the social justice warrior in Yo Mama. Um, he has a different name on the other channel, but it's pretty close. So I figured you'd catch that. I don't know if you did or not, but there's a reason that guy does not want to be on camera, doesn't want his face seen, and doesn't want his name told, because he's there to be a yes man and a flunky. Like, as a man, I'm not going to be some other dude's puppet, and that's exactly what this guy is. Is he's Steve's puppet. Steve gives him like, or his dog. Like, no, because I treat my dog better. Like, I don't like, he's allowed to have his own feelings. He's allowed to bark at what he wants. He's allowed to like what he likes and not like what he doesn't like. On that channel, In Your Mama has to say what he knows what he's supposed to say. He gets led into everything. Like when you see, there should never be an absolute fascination and utter awe at looking at a pull rope recoil. This is everything has this. My riding mower or my push mower outside has one of these. Like, so I think the issue over there is he's learning about chainsaws as he goes. So when it's kind of like a kid who learns a new word, they say that word all the time after that. So I think what's happened is he didn't know what things were called on a chainsaw or what they were, but as he learns them, he can't help but repeat them nonstop. Um, I don't even. Oh, it's an essay. That's what he calls it. It's a starter essay. I think at one point he called it the starter coil or ignition coil. Yeah, he called this an ignition coil at one point. That's an ignition coil. But he found out that it's called a starter essay, and um, it's just a pull rope to me. That's the pull rope case. Like, I mean, there's nothing special about them. Like a side cover, a clutch cover, like to be in awe of a piece like that, like you did something, is weird to me. Like you're overselling stuff to the point that it just becomes cringe, and I just can't. Me personally, I can't get into it. I respect the hustle and the fact that apparently he enjoys tree work and cutting trees and stuff like that, which most guys do. He finds it to be very fun, so I think that's cool that he likes it and he's into chainsaws and stuff. But um, I think people need to realize that it's okay to not know everything or not be the best. It doesn't mean that you will never be the best. It just means at that point right then you're not the best. I'm not the best tree climber. I'm not the best at doing YouTube videos. I'm not the best at anything. I do my thing and I hope it's enjoyed, but like, I'm okay with not being the best and I don't know everything. So I'm okay with, you can prove, people prove me wrong. I mean, okay, great. Dude with tons of knowledge pointed out that I kind of should have focused more on the fact that with the cold weather shutters, it actually keeps your carb from freezing up when you flip those cold weather shutters. And the reason why it does that is because it's actually holding the heat from the engine inside the casing as opposed to venting it out during the summer months and stuff. So the cold weather shutter, when you turn it, it'll help the carb from freezing up, and then at the same time it's keeping everything warm, which will keep your oiler warm, which should keep the oil thinner and not burn the oiler up because the oil's way too thick and too much viscosity. So um, I'm I mess up all the time. I'm like so far from perfect, like so far from it. Like I'm closer to crap than I am being perfect. So I think the guy just needs to be okay with not being the most knowledgeable. Just because you can call that chainsaw whatever you want. It can be whatever brand chainsaw you want. Just because maybe you slapped a new name on a chainsaw, now you think you're an expert because no one else knows as much about those specific chainsaws as you, maybe. Because no one cares. It's an off-brand, and no one really cares. So I just think he's just got to be okay and like have a little bit of humility to yourself. Realize that you're not the bee's knees. You're not cooler on the other side of the pillow. You're a normal cat that is getting into tree work, I guess, and chainsaws in general, and enjoys it, and ride that wave. This like thing of I'm kicking in the door and I'm gonna shake up the chainsaw world is like, no, you're not. No, you're not. And that's where you rubbed me wrong, and I think a lot of people wrong. Okay, so how does a fat guy rope walk? Okay, so if a fat guy can walk around, he can rope walk. Because rope walking is done with your legs, it's not done with your arms. I think the biggest problem that most guys have when it comes to rope walking is they try to use too much upper body and too much with their hands. That's not necessary. You want to keep yourself straight, vertical, and go up that rope like that. Little steps are easier on the body. If you can do bigger steps, cool, awesome. But I would suggest little steps and like not like riding a bike to where you're going like way out, but like a little bit of a like an oval kind of shape that you're making as you're doing it. And it works really good. I almost look at it like I'm walking up a set of stairs. Like that's how I approach it. And not so much riding a bike like I hear being said a lot. It's more walking upstairs. So if a person has the ability to stand and get around good on their feet, in my opinion, you should be able to rope walk if you're doing it correctly. Um, the problem is it's very hard to learn how to set everything up correctly and in a way that you want to keep that verticality. When you start to get a little off centered or horizontal or like at an angle, gravity is now fighting you and making everything harder. You're having to use upper body to assist because you're no longer going straight up the rope. You're kind of going at like or off at an angle, So you can make everything a lot harder if you don't. You want good form and technique with rope walking, and it can be effortless. I could show you in a video. You rope walk with no hands. Like you don't. My hands are there. A lot of times I will use my hands to kind of give a little extra assistance to speed things up, but you like I a lot of times I'll get up and I'll hold a limb and I'll just rope walk and I'm not touching the rope, then you don't need your hands. As long as you have something, whether it be a neck tether, which I'm not the biggest fan of because I feel like it's like a device that could choke you. But a chest harness or something to clip into tin slack, like your lanyard over your shoulders. Take your lanyard off your side, throw it around your back and over here and clip it on. Tighten it so it's real good and snug. And then you want to position yourself and get all positioned onto that rope to where you're like, okay, I'm going to be tendon slack and I won't have to like lean back into it or nothing. Getting everything adjusted correctly is essential, or rope walking can be quite a struggle. I can get DRT. Yeah, 100%, man. You just need a knee ascender with a bungee. Like I think I have videos where you take a foot ascender, or you can take a hand ascender, slap a bungee on it, and make yourself your own knee ascender. Um, a knee ascender that kind of has a bungee, which will cause it to tend itself, and a good foot ascender, and you're off to the races, man. It just everything needs to be adjusted correctly because if one piece is off, that one part of your body is forced to work. It's not working as a smooth machine. Like if you had one, like a car, if you take one wheel off, even though it's got three brand new great wheels, the car's probably going to run in a circle because it doesn't have a wheel on the front. Like it's not going to run in a straight line. So having everything adjusted correctly and will cause it to run efficiently. So I think a lot of emphasis gets put on the act of the rope walk when I think a lot more needs to be put in the setup and the adjustments before you rope walk, because if everything's adjusted right and everything's set right, rope walking can be effortless. So, of course, it's probably going to be a little harder than just walking around, because you slap a bunch of gear and stuff on. You bring your weight up quite a bit. Hey, if you guys don't mind and you have hit the thumb thing, if you could, I appreciate it. I probably should have said that a long time ago, but yeah, it's just that's my opinion on it. I think the most important thing is being everything adjusted correctly and set up right. Started with uh, started with the smoke song. I laughed at the parody video. Did you like the parody videos, Dano? I think I'm gonna do more of them. They were fun to make, and like I honestly, I've made probably, I bet you I've made 5 or 6 on the metal and would you please buy one of these chainsaws channel, um, with skis and Angel, social justice warrior Angel Mama. I've made probably 3 or 4 of them, maybe more, and I've deleted them. I never uploaded them. Like I'm like, man, I don't. I feel like maybe I'm being a little too harsh, and I don't want people to think I'm like picking a fight or being a bully or something, because that's definitely not what I'm trying to do at all. Um, Personally, I feel like this guy has picked a fight with the chainsaw industry and the rest of us, and I'm just now. I'm not saying or doing anything. I'm just kind of parroting and redoing things that I've seen from him. So, like, if I make a video and it's on that and it says anything about chainsaw fraud, that's what it's on. And, like, I've seen this. This is a parody of something. So, I liked making it, and I think that's probably why I ended up with so many shares this week. So I'm definitely going to do that. I'm going to try to do a lot more than videos. So if you guys liked them, that is awesome. Hopefully I can keep them coming. Your brother's giving you an 036? You guys are funny. I must be very far behind. Yeah, I think Ground Pounder's probably right too. I think he should maybe have somebody who is a guy specifically that adjusts themselves out, because I think the tuning on them saws is far off. They should run much better than that, and way, should run much hotter. They're very lean. They seem to be running very well. Not They seem to be running rich actually. You just kind of lean them out. Just my opinion, but yeah, the saw in general does not sound correct to me. You're definitely a ground pounder. If you're struggling, it's because of it, and it's natural instinct to want to use the upper body, but everything is in the lower body on rope walking. So no, Peter, your videos are good, man. I chest box my. Yeah, and like the slack tender. it is a big thing. If you notice on most chest ascenders, the clip is right here, and it's not a big long clip that stretches out a distance. What it does is it puts that device right here, and it keeps it perfectly in line with your body, like right in front of, like right at like mouth level. Your device is there, and as you go up, it kind of drops down to about below your chin. But if you have a long device here and it's too much distance, your climbing device ends up dropping way down here and everything becomes weird and you're not getting the most out of your movement. So having the device clipped in and your slack tending device, whatever it is, chest harness, lanyard over your shoulder. That's why I said when you throw the lanyard over your shoulder, you click it in, you have to adjust that lanyard out or like bring it in actually and tighten it up so that the clip is almost like right here. That way your device is right here. So give that a try and do more adjusting that straightens everything up. And a lot of times you want to give yourself some distance here so you can put the arms into work, but that's not really what you want when you're rope walking. It's different. Everything should be done in the legs, and that's where it's at. The hands are more up above and onto the rope to assist in keeping you, completely vertical and straight, because if you let go, you would kind of tip probably back and forth, especially with all the leg movement. Your hands are more to keep your body in that straight line and be able to, advance up the rope, keep the body straight and the form right, and it becomes very much more like effortless. I promise. I want to buy a proper knee ascender. The setup I tried sucked. Yeah, yeah. I mean, give it a try. If you don't have the right kind of bungee to it, like the elasticity on the bungee and the action that it gives when it tends itself can be a big deal. You're right. Having that knee ascender adjusted out at the right distance. Here's the thing. So when you are doing it, you have okay. Let's say foot ascender is on this foot. Okay, your right foot. Knee ascender is on your left foot. So you're on the ground and you have you're clipped in with your devices on your line and you're clipped in with your chest thing, okay? Now, when you're set up there, you want you want this foot when the bungee's not extended, you're just clipping on, you want that foot to be however high your steps are going to be. You want it positioned there without any stretch being put in the bungee or anything, because when you step up with the other one onto the line, now it pulls the device up, it stretches that bungee, which when you lift your foot pulls it up. The two devices don't need to be at the same length. This one needs to be set at a step above it, and this one clipped in a step below or a step above, whichever one you want to do, but not together. If they're together, usually the bungee should have some tension put in it, and because the foot is now lifted, so it as you're here, as you lift your foot and you step. Now, when you're right there, the bungee will have about half tension in it because you've now taken a half step to here. Um, Now, a full step will give you the full stretch in that bungee. That way, when you let your weight off of it, it tends itself up. So, a good knee ascender can change the world, man, when it comes to doing the rope walking for sure. Like the monkey beaver knee ascender. I've never seen the monkey beaver. I made my hobo one and it worked really good. It took me a little while to adjust things out and get it set correctly, but I mean, I could build one within probably 10 minutes with a hand ascender. It wouldn't take me no time. It's very simple. I would find a bungee and hook it on to the hand ascender, and I would put a foot loop onto the bottom of the hand ascender. So that's it. You need a device that has a clamp that holds onto a rope or some kind of a rope stop, and then you need a bungee to cause self tending, and something to put your foot into or clip your foot to. I tried making a makeshift knee ascender from a hand ascender, and it wasn't working out that day. It's probably everything is gonna have a lot to do with. Okay, so let me explain what I mean here, GP. So when you're standing here, your knee ascender, your device is usually about right here. So you clip your knee ascender in, and when you're standing straight like this, and you pull your device up, that bungee on that should be stretched all the way. Like so, if you have your leg up here and you haven't even started, when you move and your device goes up anymore, it should cause some kind. It should cause stretching. Now, if you're not getting any stretching to happen into the knee ascender, it's not adjusted correctly. There's too much slack in that knee ascender. So if it has too much slack, it's not going to work properly. You want a very reactive knee ascender to where when you take a half step, it's still going to jump. If you take a quarter of a step, it's going to jump that little quarter. You want all that movement with every step. Now, if it doesn't have it, then you're kind of defeating the purpose. It makes it real hard to rope walk. Well, you should try like a foot ascender, man. I used a foot ascender and it worked very, very good. I mean, I could use like you could use a rope grab and it would work. Like this is what's crazy. Like you could use something like this and it would even work for a knee ascender. I could turn this into a knee ascender. What I would do is attach it to a rope, put a strap with a little foot loop here, and then a strap with a little bungee here. That would go up, and you just set it on the line to where it can only go up the line, and then when weight is put into it, it pinches. It should actually be like this, but when weight's put into it, it clamps down and shuts it off. And then when you lift up and take the weight off, it allows it to travel. So the bungee, when you're making a knee ascender, is the most important thing. The correct stretch and bounce in that bungee means the world. I'm telling you, it will change everything. I made a knee ascender. I had kind of a junk bungee, and it wasn't very elastic. It didn't want to jump up correctly, and I used it for a little bit and realized, man, this is not working correct. I switched the bungee out and found the right mount. It just changed everything. It works so perfect. So yeah, that would be my suggestion, GP. Jeffrey, thank you so much for hanging out, brother. I appreciate you. Tell the family we said good night, and we'll catch you next time. Oh, Peter, I use the spike ascender with from the hand ascender. I use that a lot when I'm just looking to, even when I'm doing big removals or something like that. Like, just instead of having to gaff in and hold something that's fat and I climb up it, I'll just use my spike ascender because I just take it off the back, slap it on 2 seconds, and I climb up the rope. And the fact I can pull it right off in 2 seconds and clip it back, that's the coolest to me because a lot of spike ascenders they become to the point where they're like in the sight path of your gaff and you can't see your gaff because it's over it, and it makes gaffing tricky, or it'll stop your gaff like it sticking out too much so you can't get your foot close to the tree. That's the things that I ran into with a spike ascender that I didn't like, so I wanted one that was easily attached and removed with very little effort but worked correct. So you got a comment on how bad your video was? People are just ridiculous. Like, I don't know. And just FYI, if you have a YouTube channel, things are going to get worse. They're about to get much worse because a lot of these seasonal guys that play around with cutting trees and stuff, it's gonna get cold, and then they don't want to go outside no more. And then they see you doing work, and their imagination starts to get control of them, and they're not doing what makes them feel like a man, so they start to feel insecure a little more each day. And then as they watch your stuff and they see that you're sucking it up and you're dealing with the conditions that they can't, and you're still out there doing what they wish they could, they feel the need to tell you everything that you're doing wrong and how much you suck. So yeah, don't take any of that to heart, and just know if you run a YouTube channel and you put out content, that's it. The winter months are usually the worst. People become depressed, and they don't become happy when they get depressed. Seasonal depression gets the best of a lot of us. I get depressed. I usually keep that shit to myself. Um, so, some people just can't, and they need to, you know, deflect onto other people. So, the hand ascender and the bungee sucked. It shouldn't have. The foot loop and everything. It should, or well, it depends on how you used it. Like, I like a knee ascender to go from like my foot loop to go the knee ascender to be they're called knee ascenders, but a lot of times I don't want it all the way. I don't want it just to my knee. Like when it's on there, I usually want it like mid thigh. Um, is usually where it's adjusted out to, and then the bungee goes from there up to your device, and you know the distance that it's set up on your leg is gonna make a difference too. So like those two measurements, the the recoil on the bungee, how it responds and jumps back, very important. The distance and length of the bungee, very important. And the length of the foot loop that you're using, very important. Now, if you just ran a straight bungee and you were using like my spike ascender technique, where you just clip it onto the spikes and then you try to run a bungee all the way up, I don't, I just don't think that'll work. I just think it puts way too much bungee into the system, and it's just not gonna it's gonna bounce all over the place. It's just too much distance where the rope can fold, and it won't want to climb the rope correctly. That's why the little steps work so good on rope walking, is because it climbs the rope very slowly, and your foot is, one foot is usually keeping the rope tight while the other foot and device is traveling up the rope. So it all depends, man. A lot of that stuff just really needs to be dialed in, and it definitely makes a difference. GPBS, you guys all make good videos. It's just, yeah, you guys probably feel the same way I do sometimes. Like, and I understand why mine don't get watched. It's because I miss people's videos sometimes. I just have too many in my feed, and somehow it gets skipped over. And then later on, I'm looking in their feed, and I'm like, when did they put this out? So I mean, I get that, but it's more it's more crushing though when you do a full video, and then and then you see that a YouTube short can get so many views. It's like, I've been waiting for the, but I've not got them yet. I've been kind of surprised by that, honestly. No trouble. The products that I was using suck, man. Not the setup. I should have explained. Oh, right on. The bungee sucked. Amazon crap. Ascender. Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a reason why I use the Haas Neosender than the one I made. I mean, when they make them, they're made better, than you can usually slap together with a homemade one. So I use some marine bungee. That's probably some of the best. That's a good idea. Yeah, yeah. Um, I think it's in like the nature of social media now that you'll get haters that will subscribe, which I know that sounds crazy, but some people hate watch and like they're just like seeing like, oh, this dude I can relate to, but like I'm better than him, so I'm gonna watch so that I can be like, look at this, what an idiot, and it makes some people feel better about themselves. I don't really get it, but you know, to each their own. They're full-grown adults, most of them, I hope, and they can make their own decisions. Just not a fan. Um, I think you should treat people the way you want to be treated, and I think karma should give you everything that you give. So, winter in Florida is the shiznit. I bet, man. Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, that would be nice. I should take another trip to Florida. I didn't really know a lot of people down there when I went the first time, and yeah, that would be fun. I'd like to do a trip. Like, I wish I could set up like a kind of trip where I run around and like work with some of you guys and just get to hang out. Like, maybe I could lend my services around and be able to do enough of it to pay for the trip, um, and maybe make a buck or two. But who knows? You know. Yeah, I've always wanted to do that, especially since I started running the channel and starting to get to know so many people. So, well, I mean, ground pounder is probably the fact that you've been able to get it done with dual. When you run DRT, that it's like, well, not necessary, but it's the age thing that made me get into it, and it was the age thing that was actually keeping me from doing it. So being older made me want to learn SRT, but at the same time and beforehand, being older made me not want to learn SRT. I thought, I know this, it's good enough. And it was like when SRT was first being talked about. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Because I'd always kind of keep up with stuff. And I'm like, well, that's pretty sweet, but seems impractical. Like, it just didn't seem safe to me at the time. It actually tripped me out because I'm like, how can you even work on a rope that's stationary? That doesn't make no sense. My brain instantly went to that and was just like, oh god, that's got to be a different world because like it's got to be a moving rope system. That's all I know. So a stationary rope, I just tuned it out. I'm like, that's too much to have to learn, and it's just not worth my time. I can get it done with what I got. I am so grateful that I spent that time because I feel the benefits that I get, with the way my body feels afterwards, and it was so worth it. And I'm so glad I did it. So, if anybody's wondering if you should make that step, yes. Dude, I would definitely come up to Michigan. I'm 43 and just started jumping out planes. I've been climbing better since I've jumped. Only used the bucket truck once and the last two. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And it's definitely if you don't use it, you lose it. It's something that's not gonna. It's not like certain days you're able to do certain things better. Like tree work's not like it. It's a muscle memory. It's a comfort thing from experience, and like it's something that if you're doing it all the time, you become comfortable. You become relaxed, and if you don't, it's very nerve wracking and scary and dangerous, and so that's awesome. We give the bucket a break. Well, everybody, I think we've went on, and I've blabbed for about an hour or so here. Maybe I can go get a bike ride in, go get dinner on the bike. Um, I have to find some clothes. It's cold, but yeah, you guys, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it. Peter, at the beginning of this live feed, I talked about I wanted to have you and interview you on this live feed. Um, just ignore all that. I tried to get a hold of you earlier. Maybe Ground Pounder can give me your phone number if it's all right with you. And next week, if you don't mind, maybe we could interview you, and I could talk with you about the whole situation and everything beforehand. But if you're cool with that, maybe next week we interview Peter, and maybe we get some subscribers over to you too. I definitely enjoyed the channel last week. I think we shouted Peter out last week. Let me see. Here's the yeah. So hopefully a little bit of a shout out brought some action to a few channels out there. I don't have a huge audience, but I feel like no one's ever really thrown me a bone when it comes to YouTube. So I try to throw as many of them out there as I can. So thank you if you shared any videos this week, if you liked any videos, if you watched any videos. I appreciate you guys. You're kind of what's keeping the lights on here. So I only won the whole like $50 this week. So I'm a YouTube just star, and I'm gonna be a millionaire before this is all said and done. No, not really. I'll catch you next week. Stay safe, and if you got any questions or need help with anything, I don't. When I say it, I'm dead serious. If I can help you with anything, leave a comment. Stay safe, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.